Hi everyone, it's Denise again, and we're going to build this card together today. This is another one of the assembly required cards, and not necessarily coloring or inking or flower shaping or anything else. So this one is pretty easy to put together if you have the kit. If you don't have the kit, it'll take you a little bit longer to make your own kit from your own stash at home, but completely doable. And if you do that, please be sure that you post a picture for us so we can see your wonderful creation. Remember to join, if you haven't already, the Facebook group, which is Scrapbooking Stuff Group. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure that you click that little bell so that you get the updates whenever a new video or tutorial is posted. And if the video is helpful to you, be sure that you click on that like button. All right, so today we are going to build this. I hope that the camera is not upside down. I'm really not good at this here. And it looks it to me from where I'm sitting, but I'm not really sure, I'm sorry. But this card is good for either way. So this is the card that we're making. I know this is display only. I don't know if that's better for you. This card can be a side fold or a top fold. Makes no difference really. So we are going to learn how to do this today. So easy. So I already have the kit taken out. Now you have all these little strips that were together in something like this, right? Bridget packaged them nice and neat so they were neatly packed for you. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to tackle. And remember, if it's too fast for you, or you need to slow it down, or you need to rewind, go ahead. That's the great part of video. You can pause it, you can rewind, you can watch again, you can watch the whole way through, go back and watch a second time as you craft. So what I'm going to suggest is, I always use the Bearly Arts dries clear glue. I've also used the Art Glitter glue that dries clear glue. The only difference really is the Bearly Arts we can get all year round here in New York. And while you can get the Art Glitter glue here, like from a place like Amazon year round, trust me when I tell you that once that glue has shipped and it freezes, it's no good. You go to use it and it's literally like water. It's like skim milk. It is white colored, thin liquid, and you have to squeeze out almost half the bottle to get to, even if you shake it, to get to the point where your glue is actually adhesive and not just a liquidy mess. And that's not the case with the Bearly Arts glue. Excuse me. So we use that at the store. I'm a convert to it. I love both of them, and I always like a liquid adhesive. For this card though, I lost what they are. I haven't used them in forever, so I can't remember. You know, like a Tombow, a dry line one. Use one of those then. So we have the display here. You have this big pearl in your kit. That's going to be for your flowers. Your flowers in the end, you're either going to layer off center. Right, so not that the petals, you don't want it like this so that the petals are all the same way. You want to glue it so that they're not, so that they're off center from each other. And I won't do it with you here, but you'll do a little flower shaping, and we've done that in some other videos, so we'll save that for last. So then you've got your card, right? Now your card is either going to be a top fold, so the top would be facing away from you, or a side fold facing to your left. Makes no difference at this point. You can take your red sheet and you can center it as best as you can onto the card base and just glue it on down. And again, whether you're using a tape runner, that's the word I couldn't think of before. If you were yelling it at the screen, thank you. I must have finally heard you. So a tape runner or wet glue makes no difference here. Excuse me. We're going to put that to the side because we don't need that right now. We are going to need that single white piece of paper though, not the card base, the single white piece. Now you're going to take your strips here. This is just extra. It's not a strip or anything else. It was just extra. So you can pop that to the side. So you're going to take your strips. Now you'll notice that I have 4 piles here, but they are double-sided paper. So 2 of them are really the same, right? It's 12 of the same and not 6 of 4 different. But we are going to use both sides. So I have mine in piles of 6. 6 of the dot, 6 of the dot on the other side, 6 of the stripe with the glitter, and then 6 of that on the other side. Kind of looks like a pinky wood grain, okay, on the other side. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Now, when I built mine, I did it on a horizontal base. And again, you can do this any way you want. I do think it's easier to start with this on a horizontal base. Now, before you glue anything down, I want you to just watch and then go back and glue down because it's important to do it this way so that you have all of the pieces that you need. So you're going to decide which piece you want first. Now I have these two, I'm going to move these so you can see, I'm sorry. I have these two together, but the stripe and the wood grain are so similar that I think maybe I'm going to move it in between. And I think I just didn't want the glitter right next to each other, but that's what ended up happening. But I think I'm going to do mine like that. Now it doesn't mean I'm going to stick to that pattern, but knowing me, it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first one, and as I look at the card, this one here, this stripe piece, this is a full piece. This is my first piece. Nothing else is a full piece. So this is where I'm doing. So if you did sort of like an X in the middle of the card, that's where I'm starting. You don't have to start there. You can start anywhere you want, but we are doing it on a diagonal. And so I am going to start it kind of in the middle-ish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, don't do it yet. I'm going to put my adhesive on the back of what I need. And I'm going to slant it, put it on a diagonal, do what I want with it. Now I am going to be careful at the top here, because at the top, I don't want it to be like this. Can you see that? So that you have a piece of white here that isn't covered. I want to be sure that at least the corner touches the white, okay? So that it's completely covered. Now, I am going to end up snipping, so you're going to have this on the back when you're done. If you did the card with the squares, it's going to be similar to that. You know, whereas you're going to build and then you're going to snip. I'm not going to put glue on these edges because I'm going to use them to fill in. So I'm going to put my glue where I need it on this. I'm going to line up to make sure that it's fully covered top to bottom. I'm going to choose the angle I want. And then I'm not going to build this with you right now, but then I'm going to put this down. And I'm not going to build it with you right now because these kits are limited. And I don't want to waste a kit making another sample when you could have another kit. So I'm going to pretend to glue these together with you. So once you have this one glued down, that's when I would take my liquid glue or my tape runner. I'm going to build these. And I'm going to put my glue here, almost at like maybe 1/8 of an inch away from this. And then I'm going to take my next strip. I'm going to have as little as possible overhang at the top. But again, I need everything covered because these pieces I'm going to end up using. I'm going to take my third piece. And again, I'm going to put my glue here. Because now I can do that because I have the one piece down. I'm going to make sure everything, all the white is covered. But with as little as possible overlapping on one side so that I have as much as possible down here. So when I get to these little pieces here, I have plenty of pieces. Now, if you're worried that you won't have enough for that, you can always adjust the angle and make it a little more severe. That should give you a little more extra, but it doesn't matter. You have plenty of pieces. So I'm going to continue to build. I put my glue here. I'm going to go with this. And then I'm going to repeat the pattern. Now you can make yours so it has no pattern. I like a pattern. So you're going to repeat with the glue and the paper making sure that the white is completely covered. All right. Pull these in, sorry. Okay, and then you're gonna get to this point here where it's fully covered up here, but not here, and that's where you're going to start to, again, you're covering the white, but leave as much as you can for the bottom after this is completely cut off. Now you can do the majority of the overhang at the top if you want. For me, it's just easier to make the top as close as possible to the white and put all the overhang at the bottom. And I'm going to just continue to build this way. Ooh. Until I get to a point where I just have this little piece. I'm not going to do anything with that little piece. And in fact, if I didn't want to use this whole piece for that, I could, but it's enough where, again, I'm going to glue. Look at how much overhang that is. I mean, there's maybe 1.5 inches, maybe that's 2 inches there, and the other 4 are overhang. So once you have that done, I would then go to this side. I wouldn't cut this yet because you need for this to really be dry. Now, if you've used a tape runner, then it's dry, you can cut it. But if you've used glue, let it sit for a little bit and let it do that. I would start again in the middle, and you can make your angle just match up with this. I mean, you can't really change the angle much at this point because then you're gonna have a gap here, a little gap there, you see that? So you're gonna wanna do it like this. So pick where you want. I always like to try to do the corner so that it's on an edge, because for me that makes it easier later. But again, that's just a preference. I am then going to go back to layering. Now, I don't have to worry about the overhang at this point because it's all going to be on that end because everything else is here. So I'm going to use my bigger pieces, and I may be going in reverse at this point as I fill it in. Now, you certainly, like I say, have enough pieces where you can fill all this in this way. Have at it. Feel free to do it that way. But I would save these extra strips to do this on another card. Same with this. I would save these to do it on another card because by the time you're done cutting, I mean, you may need to use a couple of these, okay, but then fill them in as you need to. Wait for it to dry, flip the whole thing over, cut the excess. You want this to be flush with the white. You don't want any left hanging over, and you don't want any white border either. That's why it's covering it completely. So it'll look like this when you're done. You see how you don't see any white? So when you're done, you're going to take your piece and then you're going to fill in all the little spots, all the little corner, even that itty bitty corner there I filled in. You're gonna fill that in. You're going to wait for it to dry. You're going to trim or cut all the excess, and then you're going to center it on top of the red piece that you've already put down. It sounds a little complicated, but it's really a piece of cake, and actually pretty fun when you do it because you're just sort of building a little mosaic and you didn't have to cut the pieces. That's the best part of this kit. You didn't have to cut the pieces. Now, if you don't mind cutting pieces, by all means, recreate it on your own and just consider this a tutorial. If you didn't buy the card class and you're watching to play along, no problem with that. You go ahead and cut whatever you want from your paper stash, recreate it, and when you do, be sure that you post it in the Facebook group for all of us to see. Remember, that's Scrapbooking Stuff group on Facebook. I'll put that away later. So then the last thing to do is your flower. Now I don't have a flower shaping kit here. I'm actually away recording this. But your flower shaper is really easy. You have your flower shaping mat, the black mat, and you have your stylus. If you have the McGill ones that are sold by Long Island Craft Stop, you have the 3. I always say go with the medium one. People ask me all the time, which one should I use? I always say go with the medium one, whichever one looks like it's going to be best for this. Yes, you have to use that mat though. I have tried. I mean, I didn't believe it either. I thought you could use just any mat, and I have tried using different mats. They do not work. You actually have to use that McGill mat. Heartfelt Creations makes their own version of the stylus and the mat. Those mats work too, but any like a red rubber mat or something just really doesn't work. So what you will do, and there are other videos that have flower shaping in them, so please feel free to go and look at the other videos for ideas and tips and techniques on this. So you would take your black mat, you take your flowers, flip them to the back, and you can see when you look at a die cut, I don't know if you can see it here, if it'll focus in, but there are parts that look just kind of finished and embossed. And then the other side, now this has a mark on it, but then the other side that just kind of doesn't, and you know it when you look at them. So, and if you can't tell, then that's okay. Nobody else can tell either. Flip them upside down. You're going to take your water spritzer. You're going to hold it up about 1 foot over. You're going to have these on your mat. You're going to spritz once. That's it. Just once. That's all you need. For these, the way I did this flower is I took a medium or one of the larger ends of the stylus and literally just pressed down. Don't hold the flower when you do it. Press down, and I just swirled it a little bit. That's all. If you want to just like take it, like press down, go right ahead and do that. You just need a little bit of shape. That's all. Once they're shaped, turn them back over so that the leaves will now be curved upwards. Go back to what we had said before and offset those petals. You're going to put it right in the middle, glue it around the edges here, obviously with the hole there, and then take your pearl, put a big blob of glue right there and pop that pearl on and set it aside to dry. And there you have a very easy card that you still made, but didn't take you a very long time because again, you had everything pre-cut for you from the kit. But also is still a handmade card and very nice for somebody to get. A handmade card always says that you're thinking of someone or that they're important enough that you spent your time to make them something. Everyone loves a homemade card. I hope that you learned from the tutorial. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Facebook group. I don't always monitor comments on the YouTube channel, so the Facebook group for questions is much better. If this video was helpful to you or you got an idea for your own stash, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so that you get all of the notices as we continue to upload tutorials and challenges and other things that may come in the future. I hope that you'll join us again soon. Thanks for taking the class, and we'll see you next time.